You tell yourself that you work this much because you're ambitious, because you care, but there is a tell. When you finally get a free afternoon, you still can't sit in it. The stillness feels wrong, it's almost dangerous. That reaction is the thing worth looking at because it has nothing to do with your ambition. I'm going to show you the real reason that high performers can't stop working, and it's not the reason that you'd give if I asked you, but by the end of this video you will understand what your nervous system is actually doing when you reach for more work, and why the inability to rest is a signal, not a strength. Being a workaholic is something like 23 to 25% prevalence amongst high earners, and it mirrors substance addiction across all 6 clinical markers, but we don't talk about it that way because it is the one addiction that society actually rewards. Nobody pulls you aside about your 80-hour weeks, they promote you, but the mechanism underneath it looks exactly like any other compulsion. Unfortunately, like any other compulsion, the behavior isn't the problem. The behavior is a solution to a problem that you haven't named yet. Every compulsion serves a function. It medicates something. The reason work is the perfect drug is that it's invisible. If you start drinking too much, people are going to notice. If you gamble too much, people are going to notice. If you work too much, people just go, oh, he really loves his job. Oh, he's really driven. The question isn't why do you work so much? The question is, what does the work allow you to avoid? For most of the high performers I work with, the answer is feeling anything. As long as you're in motion, you don't have to be present with whatever's underneath the motion. The schedule that you've created for yourself, oftentimes unconsciously, make sure that there's never a quiet moment where the thing you've been outrunning catches up. This is why a free afternoon feels threatening. It's not that you have nothing to do, it's that with nothing to do, you might have to feel something that you spent years arranging your life to avoid. And there's a physical layer to this. If you grew up in an environment where you had to stay alert, where your safety came from doing rather than being, your nervous system learned that calm equals threat. Busyness is a survival strategy from your childhood. Maybe you were the one holding things together in the family home. Maybe achievement was how you earned attention or even kept the peace. Whatever the specific shape of this is, your body learned that being useful was how you stayed safe, and unfortunately that wiring doesn't update on its own. So decades later, when you finally have safety, money, security, a team that you've built, a family that you love, the nervous system still treats stillness as danger. Relaxation feels like something must be wrong. Rest feels like you're falling behind, even though there's nothing really to fall back behind on. This is the HPA axis adapting to chronic stress. The system recalibrates so that hypervigilance feels normal and calm feels like a problem. You're not addicted to work because you love it, you're addicted to it because stopping triggers the alarm. And then there's the identity layer. If your sense of self is built on what you produce, then resting isn't just uncomfortable, it's a whole threat to your identity. When you're working, you know who you are. You're the founder, the operator, the one who gets things done. But the moment that you stop, the question is, who am I if I'm not producing? And for a lot of people, the answer to that doesn't exist because they've never built an identity outside of their output. So you keep working. Not because the work needs doing, but because the work is how you keep the question from surfacing. Every project is another way of not asking who you'd be without it. The only way to know which of these is actually running you is you have to pay attention to what happens when you try to genuinely rest. Not a productive holiday or vacation where you answer emails by the pool. Real, proper stillness. And if you ever feel guilt, that's the identity layer. Your worth is fused to your output, so resting feels like you're losing ground. If you feel anxiety, like something bad is about to happen, that is your nervous system. Calm for you has been coded as danger. But if you feel empty, like there's nothing underneath the noise, that's the avoidant layer. The work has been covering something, and without it, you've been left with the thing that you've been covering up. Most high performers feel all three at once, which is why the free afternoon is so terrifyingly unbearable that they fill it before it can teach them anything. People try to fix this with discipline. They schedule the downtime, they book the holidays, they set the boundaries, and it doesn't hold because they're applying a behavioral fix to a problem that isn't entirely behavioral. You can't willpower your way out of a nervous system that believes stillness is dangerous, and you can't schedule your way out of an identity that is fused to output. You can force yourself to sit on a beach, but the underlying wiring hasn't changed, so you're going to spend the entire time vibrating with the urge to do something, and you're going to come back not rested and more depleted than when you left. The behavior is downstream. The work happens at the level of the wiring and at the level of identity and not at the level of the calendar. You have to change 3 key things. You have to separate your worth from your output. As long as your value depends on what you produce, rest is always going to feel like a threat to your existence. You have to build an identity that survives a day of doing nothing. As a father, a dad, a person of faith, or a friend. Identities that don't move when the market or your clients do. Then you have to teach your nervous system that stillness is safe. This is slow embodied work. It's learning to sit in a quiet room without reaching for your phone and letting your body discover that nothing bad happens. Over time, the alarm in your head is going to quiet down because the evidence keeps contradicting it. And then third, you have to face whatever the work has been covering. This is the hardest part and the part that most people will do anything to avoid, but the thing that you've been out running loses its power the moment that you stop running and turn around to look at it. It's almost always smaller than the energy that you've spent avoiding it. The aim here isn't to make you lazy or to kill your ambition. You can still want to build, you can still want to win. The aim is to make the ambition a choice instead of a compulsion. There is a profound difference between a man who works because he's creating something that he loves and a man who works because he can't bear to stop. From the outside, they look identical, but from the inside, one is free and the other one is running from something. The man who can sit in a quiet room without reaching for his phone, who knows who he is without achievement having to confirm it, who can rest without guilt and work without desperation, that man builds from wholeness. The man who can't stop is building from a wound, and there is no building that will ever heal it. You don't have to keep running, but you do have to be willing to stop long enough to find out what you've been running from. The inability to stop working lives at the identity level, which is level 3, which is exactly why scheduling and discipline would never fix it. If you watch my videos on the 3 levels of choice, you will understand why the change has to happen there, and why every behavioral fix that you've ever tried was aimed at the wrong level.